you for jumping on this. Much appreciated. I know we're nearly there. Probably. I think that face tells me 1,000 words. How's it been this camp?
Oh, a tough one. A fucking tough one. I feel like the last camp to make straw weight was tough because of we was filming the BBC show. It was cold, the pressure of Paddy's fight.
Right.
There was just a lot. And I'd never made the weight before. And then this camp, it's like personally more shit's gone on, but professionally and in the gym, it's never been better. I'm at that age now, aren't I? Where there's not much more left to learn and to grow, and it's kind of just like just attack the sessions. And I think me and Paul Rimmer kind of sat down and was just like, "Fuck, like we're there, like we're hitting prime Molly McCann," and it's so hard because we've had to adjust the sleep and all that this weekend. So I'm feeling it today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Lots of little things to talk about. I was with the great Paul Reed just yesterday. We had
Mm.
the English Mixed Martial Arts Association trials. That is always so hard to say, isn't it? I know.
Emma.
There you go, much easier. But then, but because it's a girl's name, people get a little bit confused. I know that you've been putting your expertise and time into that in the past, so it was good to see Paul. And I have to say, I haven't really connected with a lot of amateurs as recently, when I work with the UFC, etc. I see a couple of amateurs in the gym, but these are the best of the best. Oh my
Mm.
goodness, Molly. I know that you
Lo-
use some of the amateurs for your own
yeah.
camp. Holy
Mm.
shit, they're
Yeah.
good.
Well, the thing is, John, right? We was laughing. I think one of the amateurs in the gym who was coming to train with us has had more amateur fights than I've had pro and amateur fights. So some of us pros now won't even be able to lace their gloves up by the time or lace their shoes up by the time they're our age. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll have that much knowledge and what a fantastic space to be in to see that the sport just grew that much that kids are getting to compete that often. And hats off to everyone who's been involved in Emma the whole way from the beginning to now. Because without that, the sport wouldn't be growing the way that it is. And the backing of the UFC at the England shows when they sanction Emma to run the events, it's good stuff.
Yeah, no, and it's great to hear that people like you are getting involved as well, because not all of the crop of UFC talent from the UK is. So I tip your cap 'cause I know that you do a lot of stuff. I actually had to go through an assistant to get to you, Murray, which I love, by the way. I might have to tap you up and see how this assistant thing works, but I don't think
Well,
I have nearly as much going on as you.
me life, if you'd imagine like a full-time athlete, a restaurant, a gym business. I do all the stuff with fan support and food banks. When I can, I'm out helping the kids or the seniors at Emma. I've got like a house to run, two dogs, and then a life to live. And Graham and Tommy, my management had intensity handle the contracts and stuff, but it's like I physically can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can't do anymore, and it's just I don't know. I'm hitting the kind of sweet spot in my life where like I kind of called my engagement off a couple of months ago so that I can focus completely on being a world champion. Do you know what I mean? And that required then someone to help run my life as well because I didn't have someone helping me run my life. Do you know what I mean? So I just had to put all the right plans in place to make sure that I can, what's the word? Fulfill
Yeah.
my potential.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good problems in there to have, and I'm really
Absolutely.
proud to see people like you having these opportunities. And you have to go out and get them. Don't get me wrong, but that you have to put yourself in those positions. But I let me just say as well, I'm sorry to hear, personally things aren't the way that you would obviously like them, or any investment emotionally in relationships, and when they don't work out is obviously very very sad. So
It is, but I always think what everyone thinks. Like you look at fighters, and when they go through that, it's like a whole nother beast is released.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
right,
But the main thing is to keep the main thing the
right.
main thing.
Well, the main thing. Oh, no, I can't. My lead in there was going to be probably quite inappropriate, actually, Molly. I was trying to segue into how good you look right now.
Yeah.
I don't want you to sing, and that's anyway. You see what I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
at. I just actually went through your socials a few moments ago, and there's some of your strength and conditioning stuff. You look great, mate. Like really, really good. Like athletically, everything looks really well balanced, and you working with a smile on your face. Who are the people that have helped you get into that kind of shape for this fight?
I think it's always been the same with Paul Reed's S&C. Usually I'd like take some time off after a fight, but I'd say honestly, since last July, I haven't really I took 3 weeks off in March because I got bronchitis. But other than that, I've just consistently been in. I've got a sprint coach now. Well, all the lads, we're all using Crofty. I think it's Mapped Fitness on my Instagram, and I think that's been the difference in instead of like that last fight camp, we ran the weight off,
Okay.
and this camp, I've upped the weights, upped the sprints, and I think my metabolic rate must just be more attuned at this weight. And then Joel, my business partner at Polpetta, and he owns Macro Chef. He does mine and Paddy's meals.
Right.
Him and Paul, since the beginning of camp, I've just been on my macros for 12 weeks instead of like 8 or 6. And that's it, must just be the difference. I think the difference is just maturity, accountability, and wanting to be the best, John. I think that's it.
Yeah. No, it's incredible to see how a lot of you athletes make these changes, especially when you're deep into your careers, and then it's like you're having to put even more into it now.
Than I have ever.
Yeah, when it should be kind of on the other side of things, right? It should be a bit more routine. But you know, the quest for greatness and all that, I have to again, just goes to show how much it means to you guys what you're all trying to achieve. Now, that last fight, it was a privilege to obviously be in Vegas.
All in. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Well, can we start with what you were feeling going into that one, because you wear your heart on your sleeve. I feel like we have an idea, but after the fact you can really talk bare bones about where you were at when you
Yeah.
went into that cage.
On the walk and that fight week, I was so lucky it was a fight night. I was so lucky. I was out the way. No one gave a fuck. And it was
Yeah, we
just like,
do.
well,
I
no,
know
I
what
know,
you mean. Comparative.
being back in England, the pressure is night and day to when you're in Vegas. It's completely different. Um, I'll be deadly honest with you. The pressure was in camp, like, but fight week, I was just walking in in a space of like, I'm going like this is for me. Like, I think you can all just see a difference. I've evolved and I've grown in front of you all. You've been calling me for 11 years. You was at my first amateur fight, and like that was like we thought the elbow was like Molly's arrived. No, 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 no. Like that was Molly's arrived. But when I walked in, I just thought I'm gonna murder you. Like I'm going to murder you, and I didn't have any doubt in here. And I think I could have been in there with a grappler and I wouldn't have had any doubt. Do you know what I mean? Like I always do believe the disparity in how different I would come back in a flyweight and my opponent would was just crazy. And then the fact the last girl to beat me was Julia Stariolenko, and the girl I absolutely flatlined beat her just showed on that night as I was walking into the Apex and I was watching the fights. I was like, oh my god, it just goes to show size is everything in this game.
Right.
And I was still smaller than Diane, and I am still smaller than Bruna Brazil, but the reload isn't. And what we've seen is my strength is exactly the same at strawweight as what it is at flyweight.
That's interesting.
So what I can rep my velocity, my speed, my everything is speed and velocity is faster, strength's the same.
Right.
Mm.
So it's a win-win. I mean, I
I mean, the diet's not. The diet's disgusting, especially when you own an Italian restaurant.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an important part. I do get it. I do get it. I think people, unless they've been through it, they really don't know what it's like. And yeah, so I'm not going to tread lightly. But I think in terms of someone who I like data and the simplicity of data sometimes to sit down and go like, am I making the right decision? This is a tick. This is a tick, and yeah. So why not, right? If you know that that stuff's in tune, then that surely just lays the foundation for you to get it right here to go put on your best performance.
There's no doubt then. Like I'm fighting with Francis Breen, who's on Cage Warriors, Connor Wilson, who's on Cage Warriors, Liam Gittins, who's on Cage Warriors, and Chanel Dyer. They've been like my four training partners for this camp, and it's like
That's a murderer's row.
that's murderer's row. And I think to be a straw weight with the flyweights and the bantamweight and Liam, and how different each fighter is, they're all at the top of their where they are. They're all at the top of their level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it all a fight's a fight and anyone can win, but the doubt in like have I done enough is not there. Like I haven't cheated the diet, I haven't cheated the lifestyle, I haven't cheated the rounds. Me and Paddy are like just like laughing in the gym. Don't get me wrong, like this week is when it's absolutely horrible in terms of the diet because it's like the last slog. Come Sunday and we start water loading, it's like woo. This is like the mental bit where the sleep changes because we've got to do that sleep over there. We've got to heat acclimate at a mad time. The food's going to be different, and it's this is a tougher week. Do you know what I mean? But in the grand scheme of things, it's like we're living our dream.
yeah,
We're in a privileged environment, and it's first world problems. At the end of the day, it's like shut up. What are you really moaning for?
yeah.
I'm still eat, regardless of how many calories, I'm still eating three fucking meals a day,
Right.
and I've got a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like shut up, Mal.
It's that's good to remind yourself that whole gratitude thing. I feel like
Mm.
the Americans, anywhere you go, that like American literature right now is all gratitude and writing journals and stuff. Maybe I'm just letting you in on the kind of things I'm watching on YouTube. But it is true, isn't it? When we kind of compare things, I've literally just had a conversation with my missus about money, and I sit there and go, "We've got a roof over."
I'm living down south in a big house here. Like we're all right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have a mansion up here, John, if you lived up here.
I might be seeing you soon, Molly, because I can't afford to keep this place running, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but we sort of skipped over a couple of bits there or went on a
yeah.
side journey because I feel like you were saying the pressure was off, but at the same time, I was sort of digesting some thoughts that your career, like if it hadn't worked out against Bell
Ah,
Pizza,
yeah.
um, you felt like it could have been quite severe for you.
Yeah, I kind of like I retired in the dressing room last year in July. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not working as hard as I can to get pinned down and just ripped to bits by people who are too big and too strong. And like when you look on numbers at flyweight, I can lift the same as what they can. But when they reload to that big, I was just like really, really struggling. And I just said to Paul Rimmer, like, all I want is a family. All I want is like a stable life. And I'm putting this off consistently because I'm trying to chase the dream. And if I can't touch the belt, I'm not fighting. I'll go and box. And this isn't a jib at boxing because everyone knows that's my first fucking love. But the training's a lot easier than what we do in MMA. Just in terms of how much impact we take. Albeit we don't take as many strikes to the head, but it's still fucking rough. Do you know what I mean, John? And I was just like, I'm not doing it. And Paul said, I swear to you, if I think you'll never make it and you won't touch it or you won't get close, I'll tell you. He said, but please, please just try this. And even that fight week, I was doing stuff, and when I was speaking to like Talk Sport and this, that, and the other in the English press, I was like, if I'm lose, I'm not gonna lose, but if I lose, like I'm done. I am done. And you can't just fight just for money. I just don't think you can. And we're all a bit deranged, and everyone who gets in that cage obviously thinks that they're going to win a belt. Otherwise, you wouldn't be fucking doing it. Do you know what I mean? But John, I was just at that point where nah, I'm like, I'm just not doing it. And that camp, I think, like when you watch the BBC documentary and series, and you can see the camp for me was like that.
Yeah.
You can see it, and But how I'm so proud of myself, how I composed myself, and now I just held it together. Like I won't change my one step in this journey of what I've done in this UFC because it shows a normal person through hard work and perseverance can make a fucking good life for themselves,
Yeah.
can grab their opportunities, and when life throws the kitchen sink at you, you still move it to the side and keep on going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Just to sort of put it in my own words, if I can, to give you some
Mm.
credit there, because you're one of the few that really lets us in. And I remember the is it the High Performance podcast that
Yeah.
Jake Humphreys one, and
Mm.
super emotional to listen to. And I'm someone that has my own demons and thoughts, etc. But you put it all out there, and then I listen because I feel like I can relate to a few things. I listen and go, I'm really worried for Molly. Like she's wearing a lot of stuff here. But then to see you compartmentalize it and get in a cage, which like not get in a UFC octagon, I should say, because there is a difference, which is like what 0.1% can do, and then express themselves in a really positive way, like really showing their skills off, new things, old things, like seasoned veteranship, all of that, and then get the job and then get a bonus. I sit there and go, wow, it is, it's really phenomenal stuff. And
Yeah.
so your words are really important the way that you share stuff. And
Yeah.
this is me projecting, I sort of worry for people that let us in because you're like, oh, Jesus, they really sound like this is a struggle. But then we see the reality of what the human machine is able to accomplish.
Yeah. I think I done something with TNT Sports and Nick Pete the other day, and this must be a narrative which journalists that you can see at the minute is like, he said, do you think you've let us in too much and bared too much of your soul? And would you change that if you could go back? I said, absolutely not, because people need to understand that we're only humans and we can't keep pretending that this is what we are. Like we're just real people. Like family members die, you lose a relationship, you could go skint, a business goes bust, and like you have to show the reality of every facet of your life.
Yeah.
People might hate me because I'm loud and I'm sure of myself and I can back myself with my words and I can walk into a room and own it, do you know what I mean? And they might not like that confidence, but it's like, fuck me, I've lived some life here
Yeah.
and I'm going to show you it all.
Yeah.
I don't, I do not brag about the abundance that I have in my life. I'd be honest with when the times are hard and I'm going through it. Like, I want you all to know, like, however you choose to show up every day, as long as you're showing up, you're winning. And you've got to be thankful for the bad times because that makes the good times fucking good. Like the one thing I'll take away from my last relationship, the little golden pearl. I'll always remember Ella said to me like when I was like crying like I'm done, I'm finished, blah blah blah, and she just said like when you win again, because it will come, and you're gonna go on this big fucking run because that's who you are and that's what you're about. You just remember how much this hurt because that's how good it's gonna feel after, and you're gonna go on that all again. And I was like, do you know what? You are proper right there. And I think kids need to understand we're in a world where everything's lies. Like, I sit in social environments and look at younger people and I think, are yous all right? Like, nothing about you is genuine. It's all disingenuous. You're all posing. No one's real anymore. And I was like, what? This is proper. When I was growing up, this must have been what like my nan and granddad was on about. You kids, this. Like, but it's at a whole nother scale now. It's off the
Yeah.
Richter, do you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
thought, I'm real, like me, hate me. It is what it is. It doesn't hate me no more.
Yeah.
It used to destroy me, do you know what I mean, John?
Yeah.
But we're all good
It
now.
takes time to like grow the skin, and you've done it really well. I'm pleased to see that you're on the other side of it for the best part. Can we just celebrate the finish as well? Because
Yes, we can.
I've been down the gym, and I love Paul's system that he has with Ellis and the other coaches, the traffic light system, the
Hmm.
basket of techniques that you use in certain positions and not others. And I know that this doesn't actually apply to your situation because there's only a few seconds on the clock. But I remember Paul telling me he never wants his athletes who are in mount position to
To ever spin for the armbar.
fall off and take an arm because you
No.
can land in and more like
Like in a bad position.
but
Yeah.
but when you've got a few seconds on the clock and someone's presenting because you're giving them like that. That is definitely something that you would advise an athlete to do. But it's funny how I'd sort of remembered that, and I'm glad that you agreed. Because otherwise, that would
Mm.
sounded a bit silly.
Mm.
But you guys obviously don't drill that a lot because it's not really something that you would do. But I think it just goes to show your opportunistic jujitsu you have nowadays.
Yeah, I think we have these two kinds of things where if you're a mount, you elbow them till they either give you your back and you choke them, or you get the armbar if it's there. But no one ever presents like that normally at that level. And then we've got another one where if you take the back and you're against the wall or have them like in turtle, you don't roll to your back to take it. You stay on the back, flatten them out, and then work the system again because you just don't want to put yourself in a negative position where someone can counter that. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I watched that fight back, and listening to you commentate on it. And you must have seen, I looked up at the clock and there was 40 seconds. And I took my time and I thought, open her up, try and cut her eyes for the next round, and then you'll get the finish. So I thought, just take your time. John, I didn't know if I was going to gas at that weight.
That's a
It
really
was
good point.
no one knew, no one knew. And then as the time was getting closer, you never hear one's pull shout for the armbar. I don't really think you don't hear. She puts her arm up, and there's one point when I go to step up, and I thought, no, fuck it, come back for the elbows. And then when I heard the clock for the last 10. I spun on 4 seconds. The arm was in, snapped on two, clock finished with 1 second left. And you said something like, what did you say? It was something like like the trolls kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I was just like, you didn't say trolls.
Arm to the mounted. Armbar. Kick out! No way! What a way to answer your critics! It is an armbar victory for Molly McCann in her new weight class.
I could hear DC talking, and like to get the respect again off the team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For him to be like, fucking hell, fair fucks her. She's done ADCC, she's done the Polaris. Like, she's like, and it's not like I've never worked on my craft.
No.
It's not like, don't like
Yeah.
I've always stuck my teeth in, but I've only been beat by black belt jiu-jitsu people.
Bigger. Bigger.
Bigger.
And if that was
Yeah,
grappling, then they would be in a different weight division.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, fair
yeah.
play to you. It was so poetic, the way that it
Mm.
happened there, and so fair play. Couple of other things. Do you know Steve Regan happened to be a former colleague of my wife's, and I've been on the source with him a couple of times over
Yeah,
the years. And people won't understand what I've just said, but your BBC series with Paddy is phenomenal. I think that everyone has done a great job with it. It's so obvious for me to identify you and Paddy as the two protagonists that they should build a show around made so much sense. But to see the way that they put it together, and obviously the access that you've given them, I think everyone deserves a real pat on the back, and it's really shown another side to our sport over here in a time where I really feel like
it's needed it.
yeah, we sort of plateaued a little bit, and people still don't understand us. And someone like Steve, who I've never had a conversation
Hasn't got a clue, like, he was like, oh my God, you've got to lose how much weight?
yeah,
What? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think the first step, we literally signed the deal and then we had to film 3 days later. So there was no like, they've come in and there was one scene which was put together and we're on Paddy's just made weight and we're on the top of a fucking, the MGM signature and I can't stand heights.
yeah,
I'm like that.
yeah,
And I was like, that's the only scene in the whole of it where we're like, oh. Do you know what I mean? Because like they forced us in that position, and it was the first time we'd been on the camera,
right,
and it wasn't a vlog,
yeah,
and it wasn't an interview,
yeah,
so we had to learn how to adjust to that. But they wanted a reality TV show, and we gave them a docu series,
yeah,
and what they realised is you cannot get two Scousers to do anything that they don't want to do, i.e., talk about something, pretend to act
yeah,
like it's all authentic.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And like some of the shit Paddy comes out with, like I think that booty was better than sex. And I was just like, at the premiere, I was sat next to Laura and her mum and dad, and everyone just looked at the floor and was like, oh, my, Patrick?
Yeah.
And you see my face, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Only Paddy, right? Yeah. No,
only Paddy.
really, like, well done for letting them in, and I'm really pleased that they've done a.
How good was the edit?
Yeah, they've
Like,
done a good job for you
yeah,
guys, because I've heard of many people letting someone in on a project like that, and it's not what they expected or wanted, and that's sad for everyone. But you know, I've really enjoyed it. I haven't watched everything, but I've really enjoyed it.
if you get to episode 5 and 6, that's my weight cut and my
Yeah,
fight.
I've watched it. I
Oh,
skipped over 4, because I
I haven't watched it all because obviously there's some episodes in there that are like wedding planning and fucking family planning
right,
clinics. I was like,
right.
I'll do that after the fight. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, time to
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
yeah, no, good job everyone, and hopefully that will encourage. And for those that are listening and don't understand the BBC, like it is the channel here in the UK.
yeah.
It's rooted in history here. So anything that gets put on the BBC is high level and needs to be good quality. We all pay for it as members of the community. So
And you know what else I'll say? Like they haven't always been the biggest lovers of far left or Scousers. So I think for us to build that relationship with each other, I think was a real big one. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, nice one. And yeah, again, thank you for everyone involved, because we need more of this stuff in mixed martial arts for sure. So let's talk about another Brazilian you got a date with, Bruna Brazil. I think you two could be friends in another world. You know, she's a former footballer.
Is she?
Yeah, yeah. I think she had like a pretty decent contract offer, and she switched into combat sports. So you know, in another time, another place, and all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've actually become friends with a few of me opponents, to be honest with you, but until then,
Until it's done, until you punch her in the face a few times, then you can't be doing
yeah,
that.
no, no. This has got Barnstormer written all over it.
It does. Why do you think so? Because I've got my own thoughts.
So only because she beat me mate Sean, I thought I'm gonna come for you. And I actually asked my manager for that fight straight away. When I went to strawweight, and he said, "Oh no, Diane's asked for you." I was like, "All right, let me have that one." And I suppose it is maybe a be careful what you wish for because she's an awkward operator, but she doesn't get put away easy, so she's quite resilient, and we both, in our own way, are quite stylish with our like vocabulary of strikes. I imagine. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a spinny elbow girl and a spinny back kick girl, but she just spins into like kicks and then punches to follow, and then she expresses herself through fighting, which some fighters don't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it could, if the moment doesn't get to her and she doesn't go on the back foot early, it's gonna be like this.
Right.
But I don't know. Even if the moment gets to her and she's on the back foot, she can still win a fight. I'm not just saying like I'm gonna roll through her, because I've just realised now that's like not how I would choose to project my speech. Anyone can win.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I'm gonna get her out in the first round.
Good for you. Do you have to worry a little? Not worry. Do you have to pay attention to your own emotions with the home crowd? And she is the sort of fighter that will give it that. She gets a bit chirpy, and because she is aggressive with her, particularly like her kicking game, like she's going to be throwing a lot of fire your way. And if she's calling you on at the same time, and Manchester's going fucking nuts, like are you going to have to check yourself as you walk into those ranges?
No, so I was gonna have the walkout tune for the crowd. I was gonna come out to Oasis, this, and this, and then I thought, no, you're not doing that again. I've learnt my lessons on the job. I've done UFC Liverpool. I fought for the crowd and lost.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've walked out, give it for the crowd and like you see my last walkout and my last weigh-in, John. I didn't look at my opponents because it's not about them anymore. It's about me. When I walk out, my hands are going to be behind my back. I'm going to be open with my heart and my head, and I'm going to be walking in there, and I'm going to be cool, I'm going to be calm. I don't need to fight with this when they're my size. I can fight with this.
Right.
And there we go. And to be honest, there is no one who kicks more than Connor Wilson, Liam Gittins, or fucking Chanel Dyer. And I have done, and my legs are bruised to death from Chanel Dyer. I've had to, like, honestly, we can do about 3 spars a camp with each other because it's like a straightener.
Oh my goodness.
And we need that though, because with the boys, they'll go too much or not enough.
Right.
And the sweet spot, you still think, you bastard, you should have gone harder, then you've got light edge, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of camp, I'm maybe in the middle, and then the last 2 weeks ago, this Thursday, no, a week ago, sorry, a week ago was my last straightener on Thursday, it'll be. So last week was the last straightener with Chanel, and because the body needs time to recover.
Yeah.
And she was the same, like, 2 weeks before fight week is the last time that we'll put no head guard, little gloves, and fucking go.
Right.
And yeah, I was concise, clear. It's mad. I spin plates for a living, but the second I step on that mat, I'm like, "Ooh, free from it all." And I was training today, and I was with Ellis Hampson, and he's just like, every which direction Bruno wants to go, I've got the answer for. Every single strike she throws, the left head kick, the right low kick, the right head kick, the spinning back kick, the left hook, I've got a movement and a counter for it. I've got a three-phased attack for it. I've got a takedown for it. I've got something for it. And I'm sure she's going to have something for me. And that's what makes fighting great, that we're going to have to play chess whilst we're moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, love it. I'm really pleased to see this collection. I know that this collection of women in the UK and Ireland, and I know that you've been tapping into that for a very long time. But it's nice to see some of the young up and comers like Chanel. I remember seeing her down at our gym for an Emma Squad Day, and I don't think she was allowed to compete because she'd had like a pro
A kickboxing fight,
like.
yeah.
And I remember watching her thinking, geez Louise, this kid's something. And we've seen what she's done in PFL, Dakota as well. Selfishly, I want to see these ladies over at the UFC, and maybe they will down the line. But I'm...
Well, money talks, doesn't it, lad? So
Yeah.
if you choose prestige or you choose dough,
Yeah.
and hopefully they'll get to have the prestige as well,
Yeah.
because we want to see our fighters getting paid. So they've probably gone the right way for now.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the door opens for them. I'd want them to take it further than what I have. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to think I've kicked the door in for you in the UFC. Now you follow over and you push that barrier and that envelope further than I ever could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, it's all good. Good times ahead. Bright future for everyone. Your future will be kicking on in a week. Perfect outcome, Molly?
first round rear naked choke.
Rear naked choke. I like it.
Well, I called the armbar. I said, I'm going to take it down, I'm going to armbar it. I got that, we call it a scout single leg. That single leg I took Diane down with. Paddy took Tony Ferguson down with. And me and him are the only ones who do it in the gym.
Right.
Because like Nathan, Adam and all the wrestling boys like a nice double leg or body lock to the back take. Shem's really judo. Do you know what I mean? Like Gittins would be like a tight clinch into a sweep. And me and Paddy have that same takedown on us. So.
Right. Very cool. Excellent stuff. Look, I love what's going on out of Next Generation at the moment. The more and more I'm sort of diving into some of the Cage Warriors stuff, Octagon stuff. I saw Shem on the weekend as well. You guys have a lot
I know.
of support.
Just think, John, I've only got a few years left. I'm 34. Imagine when I'm coaching with the boys.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, well, it'll be a privilege for them to have some of your experience on the mat as well. And that's nothing against the coaches that are already there, because there's a group.
Oh no, it's just a different look, isn't it?
Yeah, you good, really good young coach. I'm really high on Ellis and Adam. I think everyone's doing a great job. So Paul, again, like we've said at the top, like tip of the cap for him to
Yeah.
put these systems in place and a real.
And then he can just sit back and let us coach, and then when he's
Yeah,
got a little idea come in. I
yeah,
can't wait.
yeah.
Can't wait.
Very good, very positive stuff. Molly, it's always
Yeah.
an absolute pleasure talking to you. I will see you next week, of course.
Get your sleep ready, lad.
Oh, yeah, I've got to adjust mine as well. Should be
I
fun.
know. I know. Right, give me love to the ladies in your life, and I'll
Thank you
catch you
very
next
much.
week.
Thank
Go
you.
and see you after, lad.
Thanks, Molly.